Welcome back to Dover International Speedway. Final practice for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. They will qualify and race tomorrow. And the track is open. Good bit of rain here last night. It is now warmed up. It was 67 when the Cup cars hit the track almost 2 hours ago. It's now warmed to 74. Yesterday's high was 78 degrees, and going to be a cloudy day here in Dover. That's okay. Hi, everybody. Mike Joy, Jeff Hammond, Hermie Sadler with you once again. And we're back to the concrete canyons of Dover once again.
And what a fun place this is to drive when your car's right.
Yeah.
And with this new engine package, very seldom are you all the way out of the throttle here, Mike. I mean, these cars are carrying a tremendous amount of speed in the corner. You fall off into these corners, drive out of the corners onto the straightaways. A fun place to drive if your car's right. Now, Jeff Hammond, how are you going to get my car right so I can stay in that throttle?
That's real easy. I'm just going to get right in here between your ears and convince you that it's the best it can be right now, because that's the easiest way to do it. But no, really, folks, what's so interesting about this racetrack, and Mike, you've been coming up here for a long time, and you understand what I'm getting ready to say. I heard a reporter use the term the other day, this place is carnivorous. I mean, it will literally chew your race car up. I mean, Miles the Monster, I mean, he has a unique way of making you think that, hey, you can have fun at this racetrack. You start attacking the racetrack, and all of a sudden you get a little bit out of control, and you're up in the outside safer berries. So the key thing right now, I think, guys, is getting the car balanced. And the guys who have got the best race cars are going to be starting up front tomorrow. This practice is very, I think, important to make sure you can get up front and stay up front, because in the past it's always proven if you start up front, more than likely you got a really good chance of winning this race. I mean, 50% of the races run here have been won from the top 10 starting position.
So unlike the Cup practice we just saw, where drivers were mostly making single car qualifying type runs, this is final practice. So
it's the only practice.
It's a whole different agenda.
Whole different agenda, and I mean, that's the thing is right now. And the key thing is right now, coming off a very bizarre win last other week, you know, from a guy like Mike Bliss, I'm curious to see if he can kind of keep his momentum going. Mike, you were witness a minute ago whenever David Rudiman came in here on a basically riding high, and he put up fast numbers as far as getting ready to go in the Sprint Cup Series. So I'm just curious to see if that one car can kind of continue that momentum, or Brendan Gaughan, who wound up finishing second.
Cars just beginning to kind of trickle out from the garage area. Only a dozen of them have been on track so far, and half of those are rookies: Allgaier, Sellers, Townley, Gaughan, McDowell, and Lagasse.
These are one of these places, Mike, that you can pretty much tell your first couple laps on the racetrack. Of course, you want to get your air pressures up and that kind of thing, but you can usually tell pretty early on what kind of race car you've got, because you really need to be down in the racetrack with a lot of grip to run fast here.
This 33 is owned by the Harvicks and today driven by Kevin Harvick. Matt?
Mike, back at Bristol in the spring, Kevin Harvick finally conquered the quest of winning as a driver in his own car for his wife, owner Delana Harvick. Now, they brought this race car to Dover. It was the car that went to Victory Lane at Bristol on the high banks there. Same chassis, different sponsor. One race deal for Armour at Bristol. So far, Copart is on the car this week, a place where Kevin Harvick has run so well in the past, so many different times, but still looking for that first win. To Dick Berggren.
And Carl Edwards is looking for his first win in 2009. His fans had thought by now he would have won half a dozen races, but in neither of the series that Edwards is racing in has he taken the trophy home. He has come close in nationwide competition. 4 poles, more than anybody else. 4 second place finishes to 4 different drivers. He's just got to pick up one more spot, and Carl Edwards will take home the trophy he's looking for.
That's a big ant on the side of his car. Wow.
And you're just waiting, Jeff, for Carl Edwards just to take off and win 3 or 4 of these races in a row. Kyle Busch has prevented a couple of them, but he's always, you know, he's been in the mix, but can't seem to close the deal as much as he did last year.
Now, I want to hear what he has to say, because Carl is great about working his sponsors in. You know, the rainy weather is just right for the duck. What's he going to say about ants?
Well, the one thing for sure, you don't want them in your pants. Especially driving a race car. But, you know, I made a comment last week about I was disappointed about, you know, Carl Edwards in his Sprint Cup Series, and probably a little bit disappointed how things have turned out so far here in the Nationwide Series. But it doesn't mean that I'm down on Cousin Carl, because I think this guy's got a ton of charisma, a ton of talent, and he's been driving his tail off. But, you know, the one variable, and we talk about it very gingerly because we don't like to talk about luck. sometimes you need a little bit of racing luck to kind of close the deal. And right now, it seems like the one thing, and maybe it's kind of eluding this Roush Fenway organization that Carl drives for, both in the Sprint Cup Series and the Nationwide Series. They need just a little bit of luck to go with his talent.
But he's a victim of his own expectations, like a guy like Kyle Busch. I mean, he had such a great year last year in the Nationwide Series and the Sprint Cup Series, and you think in the offseason, Carl Edwards is going to be the man to compete for these championships. And when they don't have those same kind of results or improve them, you start asking why. But no question about it, he's got plenty of ability to get it done.
Definitely so. And here's a guy right now that's probably been licking his chops thinking about coming back here. Scott Speed won a Camping World Truck race up here, the first time he ever seen the place. So he's got to be thinking, man, this is my kind of racetrack. I can get it done. He's been running extremely well in the Nationwide Series. And right now, he just got out on the racetrack, run a couple laps. He's 10th quickest. And I think this is another one of those kind of guys, when you think about racetracks, Mike, wouldn't you agree that Dover kind of like suits, I think, certain drivers' style? You got to have one of those kind of guys that attacks. Because if you try to just kind of, I think, take it easy at this racetrack, you're going to get lapped. I mean, you got to get up on the wheel.
You're talking attack style drivers. You must be talking of Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch,
who
Carl
just
Edwards.
put up, and they're the two fastest. Kyle just put up the fastest lap of the day so far.
There's no question. You know, Jeff, the races that I ran here, when you, as a driver who had the mindset of, I got to stay out of trouble, this is a tough racetrack, that's when you get into trouble. I agree 100% that you've got to get out there and go where your car will let you go, but be aggressive and cautiously aggressive, attack this racetrack. If you try to let the race come to you, so to speak, or take that cautious line, you will definitely find yourself around some cars you don't want to be around.
Michael Annett with Germain.com, the Germain family of car dealerships, on the car on his Toyota this week. He's run 3 laps. Only 28 drivers have been on track so far.
That surprises me a little bit too, Mike, because I know this is kind of a long practice session, and they got a limited amount of tires, but we're looking at the weather would make me think I want to get out there and at least get around the racetrack a lap or two, make sure I'm not bottoming out, the car's driving properly, just to kind of like, in my mind, know what I've got.
Agree. However, only 29 of 44 drivers have been on track so far. Kyle Busch the quickest. Speed's presentation of NASCAR Nationwide Series practice brought to you by Nationwide Insurance, the official auto insurance provider of NASCAR. Paul Menard out for a few laps. He is 6th fastest, and right now is the fastest of the go-or-go-home drivers. Mick Berggren.
Remember, just a year ago this weekend, Mike, Joey Logano had just turned 18 years old and showed up here at Dover to make his first ever start in the Nationwide Series. Did a great job qualifying in the 9th position, finishing 6th. And since then, he has absolutely met every expectation, having won twice in the Nationwide Series. In Cup racing, he now has a trio of top finishes, top 9 finishes. So he's done very, very well. But he has matured also. The car, however, has some issues. The mechanics have been underneath it since he pulled into the garage area here, and it appears as if they've got some bottoming problems that they're trying to resolve.
Thanks to Logano, 12th fastest right now, and here's what's happened to him in the last year in just the Nationwide Series.
And Dick's talking about bottoming problems. He means bottoming out, getting into these corners. And we saw Carl Edwards earlier in the session, Mike, falling off in the corner. You can see that car bottoming out, and that's pretty common here, Jeff, especially the way you enter these corners. You actually fall down in the corner and the car actually lands, and these guys try to run such a soft spring setup on these, you know, to try to get the car to turn. It's not uncommon to have stuff on the bottom of the car that's dragging and need to get rid of it.
Yeah, you need to work on your tailpipes or your trailing arm mount sometimes will hit. It can be any number of things, but yeah, bottoming out's not a very good thing. But you take a look at this young man's 29 race career. Believe it or not, guys, in doing some research and watching and looking at the notes, he has got a better statistical average finish. He's over Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, and Kevin Harvick when you compare their first 29 starts in this series compared to him. So he's starting to come on. I mean, he's not really performed, I think, what we had anticipated maybe in the Sprint Cup level, but really in the Nationwide Series, he's really on a fast track right now to keep up with some really good company.
You know, that was the first thing that really stood out to me when I started watching him. You know, a lot of people were quick to say, well, he doesn't win as much as the other guys in that car and all that, but what impressed me was his ability in these nationwide races is to get a top 10 finish when he had a top 10 car and not get himself in trouble by overdriving, which sometimes rookies do when they try to impress people.
And again, when you go back to statistics, he outdid those other three competitors, not by, when you talk about the top 10 finishes, not by one race, not by two races. He was beating guys like Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards by as many as 5 and 6 races. So again, he knows how to finish. If the car is there, he takes care of it. He gets a good finish out of it, and he's still got some impressive win stats, you know, going up against those guys. So a lot of talent right there.
Here's a look at this year's rookie standings. Gone, Allgaier making quite a race of it, with McDowell and Lagasse not far behind.
That second place finish last week at Lowe's really helped Brendan Gaughan to get back up there in the league. You know, he led early on, and then Justin kind of came on, took that Rookie of the Year point lead away from him. So we got a great battle going on between these young guys.
Steve Wallace. It's I think it's still boggling, Jeff, to some folks to understand how Brendan Gaughan got that second place finish. Caution came out.
Right.
The lead lap cars pitted. He is the free pass position.
Right.
He comes around and ends up.
Didn't go down pit road. He came on around and pulled up behind the leader. Right place, right time.
That's right. Then the rains came.
And the rains came.
Some laps later, caution for rain. Race is over.
And you know what? And you've got to give, I think, his crew chief a lot of credit right there of recognizing the situation and knowing, well, you know, we're going to be at the tail end at the pack anyway, no matter what happens. By the time we go around and come down pit road, we're going to be at the tail end of the pack. So he says, the weather don't look too good. Why don't we just pull up here and see how this thing kind of shakes out? And then when it did, he winds up with a second place finish, and that's a pretty darn good move on his part.
And how about the guy that won, Mike Bliss? What a last month it's been for James Finch. Would you like him to go buy you some lottery tickets, Jeff?
I tell you right now, if I had been associated with that group, especially if I was James Finch, I would have been in Las Vegas. I'd have been in every state in the union that had a really big lottery deal going and buying me some tickets, because I guarantee you they're going to hit somewhere.
And let's not misunderstand, that win at Talladega was not luck. I mean, they did that
absolutely
the right way, but to get that nationwide win like that at Lowe's Motor Speedway, but everybody had the same opportunity to do what that team did. They were willing to take that chance.
Well, and on top of that, guys, when you look at the operation itself, I mean, James Finch is committed to running all the races in the Nationwide Series. Mike Bliss is in the top 5 in points. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, these guys are not due and they haven't been running well.
Right.
And then Mike's only other win came at Lowe's. I mean, so when you start looking at statistics, you know, you're going to find, like Michael Waltrip. Michael Waltrip is one of the guys you talk about when you go to Daytona and Talladega. When you go to Charlotte, you know, whether it's in the Camping World Series or Nationwide Series, you got to talk about Mike Bliss. A lot like David Rudiman, a lot of people say, well, that's a big fluke. I said, folks, go back and look a year ago, and you will find out that he finished 10th in that race a year ago, and they've been competitive all year long. There's the culprit, Mike.
Caution is out for an errant spring rubber.
That's it. He didn't like it inside the car. He wanted to get outside and take a hike.
Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards are quickest. Track is open once again. Heavy cloud cover here in Dover, but no rain projected for the afternoon. Here's the Advance Auto Parts Friday menu. Sprint Cup qualifying coming up next. Trackside with Tony Stewart and Mark Martin at 7 p.m. Eastern, and the Camping World Truck Series races at 8 p.m. here on Speed.
You know what, Mike? I'd be willing to bet you that you, along with Larry McReynolds, and particularly Larry and Daryl, y'all have become quite the weather experts in the last few weeks, haven't you, as far as being able to read the clouds?
Let's put it this way, Jeff. We've become expert, if that's the right word, at reacting to the weather. I don't think we've been at all expert about predicting it.
Foretelling it.
Matt?
Mike, Stephen Wallace has already completed 11 laps during this final practice session. He says the car good as far as the trend that he's trying to go, the feel he's looking for, but they still need, he says, to work on side bite and needs a little more rear grip. What they're going to do during this time in the garage, you're going to make a track bar adjustment and one other change possibly up in the front just to try to fix that handling characteristic.
talking about weather, guys, the one good thing about this racetrack and all concrete racetracks, you know, the sun will make a difference a little bit, but basically this racetrack stays pretty consistent, more so than asphalt. So a little bit better situation for the drivers and crew chiefs when the weather is inconsistent. Doesn't affect this racetrack as much as some others.
No, you're exactly right. Coming from where we were a week ago at Lowe's Motor Speedway, which is very heat sensitive, this racetrack right here, I mean, it's not going to be, you know, changing a lot. The only time it really changes as the rubber builds up on the concrete, it affects the ride. And again, that goes back to your shock man and your springs, trying to get it to where it can handle that once it does get built up on the racetrack.
Note that we now have a safer barrier on the inside of both the front and back straightaways. There had been some close encounters with the concrete on both sides of the racetrack previously, but as part of Dover's 5-year capital improvements program, a change in pit road, longer pit boxes, 43 pit boxes, and now safer barrier on the inside of the speedway, both straightaways. As we look at Kyle Busch, who has been bumped to second on the speed chart by Carl Edwards.
I'm just glad they did away with that gate right on the inside of the start finish line, because I hit that thing one time. Jeff had a little bit of a gap in that gate, and it just about ripped my car in two, as well as me. So another good improvement is to have that, not have that gate sticking out there. A little bit of a lip. They've done away with that.
Hermie?
I was a crash dummy for that.
Hermie?
Yes, sir.
I'm seeing the gaps there in the hinges.
Yeah.
They may still open, but it sure looks a lot more improved over the one that you hit there at the concrete wall. Looks like that one can open for access.
And what you got to remember, we talk about it a lot, but if you hit the outside wall, you're probably going to hit the inside too.
Yes.
But I chose to hit the inside head on, which was not good.
Well, I was going to say that, you know, the way they've got this design now, at least you got a safer barrier there to absorb some of that energy as you go into it. And again, I think they've done a lot of extensive work. You can see that it does still have the ability to open and close, so we get the transporters from the different series in and out of the racetrack. But it looks like it's a much better design and a much more safer design.
Very nice. Dick Berggren.
With Brad Keselowski, another driver looking for his first nationwide win of the year. He won in Sprint Cup competition, but not yet in nationwide. 3 third-place finishes the best. Boy, there's a lot of work going on with that race car. What are they doing?
Well, the track is a lot faster than it was last year. It's kind of caught us off guard. GoDaddy.com Chevrolet is fast, very fast, and so is the track. I'm kind of surprised. It's the same tire, and we're good 3-4 tenths faster than we were here last year with the same car. So trying to figure that out, and that changes your front spring package and how you sit on them. So just adjusting accordingly, and hopefully we'll get it right and have a good strong race with GoDaddy.com 88 Chevrolet.
That's an interesting comment, Mike, because we heard that on the other garage as well, that the track just feels faster and feels as if it has more grip than last year.
Thanks, Dick. There are crossover gates on both sides of this racetrack. There's also an access, I believe, over on the back straightaway. There is no tunnel at Dover. That is, they call it the walkover tunnel. I know it looks like a bridge, but walkover tunnel sounds so much better. They tried to dig a tunnel here right outside turn number 2. Dover is not that far from the eastern seaboard. They struck water repeatedly at a very shallow depth. The water table is so high here, being so close to the coast, that they kept hitting water and couldn't pump it out fast enough and evacuate it. So that put an end to the tunnel project. Now we have a walkover bridge, and we have gate access on both sides of the speedway for the haulers.
And that is an awesome place. If you walk in and out of that racetrack, if you ever hear, when the cars are on the track, it makes your feet, your whole body vibrates when the cars go into that bridge. Unbelievable.
All right, it would be no fluke if Ryan Newman was fast at Dover. And here's Dick Berggren. Caught having lunch on the job.
Now, Dick, you told me you were eating healthy these days.
I am eating healthy. This is a very healthy cheeseburger. And I had a Pepsi for breakfast. I got all the basic food groups. I'm all set.
Have you had any crab cakes yet since you've been in town?
No, but Darrell really made my mouth water in the last show talking about those crab cakes. That just sounded terrific. And this is definitely the wrong thing to be eating at Dover, Delaware. I'll tell
but you know, we could go to Sambo's tonight. We could do that.
You picking up the check?
Sure.
I'll see you there.
Okay. Well,
hey, bon appetit.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I join y'all?
Sure, come on.
Okay. I'll pass up a free meal if somebody's picking up the check.
If it's free, it's for me.
Oh, man.
There's the menu. Frankly, I'm all for the breakfast sandwich. Meanwhile, what is fluke? I mean, I know it's a fluke if somebody, you know, it's Not that, like we said, Mike Bliss's win was not a fluke.
That's right.
But in this case,
that's a good
this
question.
is the Fastenal car for Ryan Newman, making a rare appearance in the Nationwide Series. But what is a fluke?
I'm not sure.
I'll put my best man on that. Newman has 2 races here, 2 poles, and 1 win.
We won 1 from the
Pretty
pole.
good record there.
Yep.
And that was no fluke.
That was no fluke.
It's a big night on trackside tonight. Tony Stewart, Mark Martin, Alan Gustafson join Jeff and the boys. 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Live from Dover.
I don't want to stand the, do the race day promos. I always put a picture of Wendy up there most of the time because she's the better looking of that cast. But the trackside promo, you've got good looking men like Jeff Hammond, Larry McReynolds, Steve Burns, DW, and yet they don't put a picture up there.
Well, we're waiting.
Well, what?
We're waiting on Elliott to come back, and we can put him up there starting next week. Your brother, Elliott Saddle, will be joining us on trackside starting next week at Pocono. Our buddy DW. Well, it's time for a summer vacation for him, and he'll take the remaining part of the year off.
Mark Davis is 30th. Howard University, number 10. Let's join Matt in the garage.
Hermie.
Yes, sir.
You remember the first time you came to Dover and just how different this racetrack is compared to so many others that are on the circuit? It's kind of unique in itself.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what Justin Allgaier is going through, just their learning process of learning this monster mile. He's telling Chad Walter, longtime NASCAR crew chief in Nationwide and over in Sprint Cup, after 12 laps of being on the racetrack, just how this race car is. It's a little snubbed from the center off, but what was so impressive, and this young man continues to impress every time he's in the car, but what is so impressive is not only how he used his hand, but he broke down not just by entry, center, and exit, but by each stage of the corner. So Chad knew exactly what Justin was feeling inside the race car. And he also talked about just how mental this racetrack is, how you really need to force yourself when it might not feel like you want to put the car in a certain spot, how you have to mentally just force yourself to put it there to knock down that fast number.
Remember the first time I drove up here, Bobby King and the boys who were driving up here, I had a couple decent runs my rookie year, feeling confident, and I was questioning Bobby on the way up here, and I said, what car are we running? I said, what motor are we running? We're going to have enough power this weekend at Dover? Bobby said, let me tell you right up front, you're going to have a whole lot more motor than you're going to have nerve at this racetrack. Wow. Your first time up here, and he's exactly right. It's a place that really, it's nothing else you can compare it to. There's no Saturday night short track that's going to get you ready for Dover Downs.
No, I mean, you go down these front straightaways or down the straightaways and literally just kind of dive.
You actually lose your stomach.
Yeah.
I mean, your stomach leaves you.
It's incredible. I mean, I've had the privilege of running some cars around this racetrack. And to me, for the guys who are really good here, again, you got to attack it. You really have to have the confidence thinking when that thing goes off the end of that cliff, when it lands, it'll be there.
Yeah.
And that's what it's really all about, Mike.
It's a leap of faith.
It really is. I mean, if there's a better analogy, I don't know what it is. A leap of faith is a great way to put it. You got to trust your race car is going to, when it lands, it'll be there, and you got to put your throttle back down and drive it off.
And this racetrack, in some ways, falls into the category of like a Darlington or Bristol, in that some drivers really, really love this racetrack. Some drivers don't. And the guys that don't like it don't run well here. And the guys that have that mentality before they leave the shop, like you said, attacking this racetrack, they're the ones that find what their car needs to get around these corners. Because the corners are so long here, Jeff.
Yeah, this is one of those racetracks we watched right now, the 38 car, Jason Leffler right now passing the 61. But it's amazing, to me, that, like I say, there's a handful of drivers that this racetrack, this fits their driving style and their mentality. I mean, it's just, you really have to be mentally, and I think Matt was great about being able to point that out. Jason Allgaier is starting to get a grip on this place, and I can really see in a matter of a few more laps where this guy will be fast around here, because not only is he smart, I know he's fearless, and to me this is the kind of racetrack that would suit his driving style, like a Jason Leffler. Jason, I think, is a guy that's really good about going after this racetrack.
Let's get back down to the garage, and Matt.
Now, Mike, during practice, safety is always a big key, whether you're in the race car or outside. Now, your helmet is on top of the race car, but you've got a different helmet on, and it correlates with some new folks that have joined your organization.
Yeah, no, it's great to have construction jobs on this weekend, and it's a great company that really allows the NASCAR fan, the professional, and the construction industry to get on the #1 job board. So go to constructionjobs.com and put your name on there and get to the front of the line, and helps us make more races too. We're excited.
Early on here in this practice session, how is the 47?
We're really bottoming out real bad right now. We got to change the front springs. We're just over traveling a little bit, so we haven't really made a clean lap yet. We got to get it off the racetrack here.
And like they always say, it's all about headwear.
Now here's a news flash this week. The Harmonator has a ride this week. Mike Harmon is listed as driving the 07 for Armando Fitz.
Good to see Mike have an opportunity to drive somebody else's car. The perseverance is paying off for the old Harmonator.
It is. Did you recommend him for that ride?
I sure did. And he's getting his tires checked on pit road. Look at him. Got the wheels cut just slightly to the right.
He is, he's 44th on the speed chart, and that's how many cars we have here.
Well, he took the first time to feel it out, Mike. Long practice. He'll get it together.
That's right. He's only run 4 laps.
But you know what is good for him is he's locked in the field. 07 is in the top 30 in points, so he's going to get to race.
He's going to race here tomorrow.
That's going to be the good thing about it.
Kevin Conway is also locked in. 24.65 is his fastest lap so far.
And a lot of people are probably sitting there saying, now, wait a minute, 87, that's Joe Nemechek's number. Well, he's driving for Joe or Andrea Nemechek right now, so that's a good thing for Kevin.
There you go.
There you go. We know who the boss is.
Carl Edwards still fastest, and we found out what a fluke is.
Besides me?
Yeah, we'll tell you after this break. 6 Camping World Truck Series races this season, 5 different winners. Who will it be tonight? It all starts with Chris Devoda and the setup at 8 p.m. So make sure you join us for the Camping World Truck Series tonight at 8, only on Speed. Here are the point standings in that series. Ron Hornaday, who will start from the pole, leads the series over Mike Skinner and Matt Crafton.
Well, what a tumble Mike Skinner took at Lowe's Motor Speedway. That was a unbelievable looking crash. Luckily he was able to walk away from that, but way up in the air, upside down.
There's cousin Carl in the Army of Ants. The Ortho car was second, now first on the board after 14 laps.
Listen how quick he picks up the throttle, Jeff. Right back in the gas before he even gets to the center of the corner, all the way to the floor.
Truck, man, that car being red like that right there makes me think it must be fire ants on that car.
Could be. Well, let's check with Dick Berger.
Well, Joey Logano just parked his car in the garage, Mike, and looking at his right rear tire, it is showing cords. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch parked right beside Logano. His right rear is showing cords. This is the same tire that Goodyear has brought for all 3 divisions. No doubt when we get enough rubber down on the racetrack, this problem will go away. But no doubt some teams are counting tires. Tires are limited in the Nationwide Series. You can't have all you want.
Well, now, Dick, what happens if everybody cords their tires? Is NASCAR with Goodyear in a position to open up a greater allotment if the tires that they intend to keep and use for the race just get worn out?
Yeah, they can do that, Mike. They can do whatever they feel is necessary in order to ensure a good quality race once the green flag drops. And that's what NASCAR is really interested in, giving people enough time to get their cars right in practice so that come race day, the fans see what they paid for.
And guys, that's one of the byproducts of a fast racetrack. I mean, we've talked about guys bottoming out and having to put more front spring in it to keep the race car off the ground, but running these fast speeds for longer periods of time, a lot of pressure on those right side tires, Jeff.
A lot of pressure on those right side tires. You know, Joe Logano's run 26 laps, looks like, on that set of tires. And again, you know, usually you can go on up, you know, close to 80 laps without having to make a pit stop for fuel around here. So, you got to believe the rubber going down, the faster speeds, plus the fact, if that car is a little bit loose, you're going to wear that right rear tire out a little bit more.
Well, now, is the outside edge of that tire that was down to the cord, Jeff, how can you compensate for that?
Really, just in my opinion, you tighten the car up just a little bit, and just understand that, if you're running around there sideways, you're going to wear that right shoulder out, and you're going to eat that right rear tire off. And the good thing is, if you're seeing that, and you're not seeing the right front, well, that's a plus, because you definitely don't want to blow either one of them out. But I definitely rather see the right rear wearing than I would the right front.
Yeah, I mean, this racetrack is tough to find that right balance. I mean, you can go your fastest. I mean, the car's got to be basically neutral here, and you want to be able to maybe tug the wheel just a little bit and not have to be loose. But if you tighten the car up, you slow down.
Yeah, well, but if you're going to blow the right rear tire, you're going to slow a whole lot more down. But the key thing is, Mike, this is the same tire that they ran here in the fall last year, and we had probably one of the most unbelievable side-by-side battles with this guy right here wind up winning
right.
the Sprint Cup race, I should say. I mean, it was just really, really a good tire and a good finish on this racetrack.
Greg Biffle is 10th fastest. His teammate Carl Edwards is quickest as practice for the Nationwide Series rolls on. Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch top the chart. No surprise. David Reagan is third. Joey Logano fourth. Kevin Harvick the top five. Then Keselowski, Vickers, Bliss, Paul Menard, the quickest of the go-homers. Jason Keller rounds out the top 10. And then Greg Biffle. Dick?
Well, Greg Biffle is in the garage right now, Mike, and the crew is working on the car. He said the car is a bit too free to suit him, but by the same token, he said the racetrack is tightening up. I don't know how you decide whether it's the racetrack or the car. The crew is certainly going to change the front shocks, and as soon as they saw me standing here with my scanner on, they started talking to each other instead of describing what that second change would be on the radio.
They don't trust you, Dick.
Oh, they do. They know I'm going to tell everybody what they're doing.
They don't trust any of us.
I hear you. But I think what Greg is describing, Mike, is as the rubber goes down on the racetrack, this racetrack will start going through a transition, and it will start getting tighter. And again, trying to figure out, whether you work on the car or you wait on the track is part of what, where you need to be, thinking about qualifying as well as starting the race. And here's a guy right here, Mike Bliss, and I think is still probably walking on cloud 9 after what happened to him last week at Lowe's Motor Speedway.
And it's quick here too, 8th fastest. Matt?
Mike, I have to give Jason Keller in the 2017 the honor of best looking car here at Dover this weekend. Special paint scheme, the MDA Helping Jerry's Kid scheme. A lot of great, unique designs on this race car from youngsters all across America. Currently, Jason said that the car was just way too loose on exit. Just could not get back in the gas. So they've made a shock change, also track bar change on this 27 right alongside Brendan Gaughan in the 62. His car extremely loose as well. They're talking about their game plan of what they want to change before they go back out. At this juncture, they've already talked about pulling a spring rubber.
And oh, by the way, Fluke is Fluke Electronics. It's a company that makes electronic test equipment and measurement tools and calibration equipment. Things like a multimeter. You might have a Fluke multimeter in your toolbox.
Wow. I didn't know it was the name of the company that made them, but I have seen a lot of that stuff. Again, you can get those at Fastenal.
Right. So nice bit of synergy.
That. Right. It does make a lot of sense. And definitely was not a fluke if you've got one.
Hey, look, it's the black number 3. Okay, just shade that one out of your mind for right now, because this is Jeffrey Earnhardt, who is Kerry Earnhardt's son, Dale Earnhardt's grandson, in the fastwax.com. Number 31. Now here are the Earnhardt debuts in the Nationwide Series. Back then it was the Busch Series. And Dale actually had been running late model Sportsman for quite a number of years in his own equipment. So I don't know if I'd call that a debut, but it was the first race for the series. It was everybody's debut.
Right.
Dale Jr. in 96, Kerry Earnhardt in 98, and now Jeffrey Earnhardt this weekend.
I've been hearing some good feedback on this kid. I mean, he seems to have a lot of ability,
a lot of talent,
and more than just a last name. I really think he's somebody that given the right opportunity and put the right people around him, he could be a could make himself a home in this series.
Yeah, he ran very well a couple of weekends ago. No, it was last weekend at Iowa in that Camping World East-West Series Challenge race. Went up there, he and his dad.
The only thing I wonder about in a situation like this is why do they bring him to the Monster Mile when they gave Dale Jr. and his dad, Kerry, a little easier place like Myrtle Beach to race instead of bringing him here?
Well, I think, Jeff, the reason is because he's raced here in the Camping World East Series.
Yep,
he has experience on this racetrack and obviously likes this racetrack, so he felt comfortable coming here.
Guys, just watching this car around the racetrack, I see a lot of movement in the front end, and the car looks like it's not really settled down like it needs. It's picking up on the front end, off the corners, and a lot more drop in the front when it gets down to the car. It kind of bounces a little bit, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't look as smooth as it needs to be, so looks like Jeffrey's got a little bit of work here to do. He's currently 25th.
That's a car that's usually driven by Stanton Barrett, owned by Stanton Barrett, and veteran Paul Andrews is helping Jeffrey Earnhardt, which would be a good mix for him having a veteran crew chief.
They'll get better. There's a guy here looking to score his second win in the NASCAR Nationwide Series this season. David Reagan got a big win back at Talladega, driving his number 6 discount tire.
Got a good practice session going.
Yeah,
third
he does.
quick.
Third quick.
And let's go back to Dick Berggren.
Well, Joey Logano getting ready to climb into his car. He just had an extended conversation with crew chief Dave Rogers. What a neat situation this is for Logano and Rogers to hook up. Rogers did win here last year as the crew chief for Hamlin.
To me, guys, that's the one thing that I think that Joe Gibbs is giving this young man, is he's surrounding him with a winning team. I mean, every car he's gotten into has won races. Every crew chief he's had to work with, they've won races. So they're educating him, and they're basically molding him and shaping him and what I think is going to wind up being the future of our sport. And they're not pushing. I'm talking about molding. It's nice, take your time. You don't have to go out and win this race. Just get you some laps on this thing, finish the race. Let's see what you can learn. And when you get ready to go up there and challenge those guys, we know you got the talent to do it. And to me, I think it's starting to pay off. I really do. I think we're going to hit the halfway point July 4th in Daytona, and you're going to see a totally different Joey Logano the second time around.
Now, he's still, I think, the youngest driver here because he just turned 19 last weekend. Jeffrey Earnhardt is 19 but will turn 20 in late July.
Man,
a lot of wins under his belt, though.
I'm getting ready to think, Mike, can you imagine what would it be like to be 19 all over again and know what he knows and have what he's got?
Or know what you know now?
I know, unbelievable.
Wow. On the next all-new episode of Wrecked, a container truck tips over on a Chicago highway, and the recovery proves to be very complicated. Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, an all-new Wrecked. That's an interesting series. You'd be surprised how much geometry and physics and action-reaction all goes into riding some of those big rigs that wreck on the highways with all the heavy-duty equipment.
Oh, you're exactly right, because you hook up something wrong with one of those deals, not only do you tear up what is already tore up or wrecked to begin with, you can tear your own stuff up. So very important the way they kind of like go about doing things. We watch these drivers in the garage area right now. You saw Mike Bliss talking to begin with Jason Allgaier. Here's Kyle Busch checking his number 18 car out, trying to see what they've got going on, looking right in front of that car.
And on the track, Kevin Harvick, who earlier in this session was third and is now fifth. He is the fastest Chevy, however, in this practice.
You can see right there, Mike, he's kind of diamond in the corner a little bit. People have different theories on how to get around this racetrack. I remember I used to watch Rusty Wallace. He would let off so early, bag the corner up, get all that speed from the center off. And then other guys like to charge the corner, Jeff. I guess it depends on a lot of your driving style as well as how your car is driving.
Well, the other thing is too, Hermie, I think it's a little bit different right now with this new engine type of package. You don't have quite the acceleration that you once had. You don't have the horsepower, that grunt to get up off the corner. So you really, I think, have to adjust your driving style to keep those RPMs up and keep the car, you know, really rolling through the center of the corner, because you just can't get out of it and wait on it and have that, you know, that big boost to drive yourself up off the corner like you used to many years ago. I mean, I think this new package right now is really challenging everybody. We're riding along right now with Ken Butler III, and pretty big week for their family. His father, Ken Butler, they're the ones who own Aaron's, and big win down there in Lowe's Motor Speedway with David Rudiman. I saw him yesterday at the golf tournament. He's still walking around. I mean, big smile on his face. You know, it really just, you know, they've been in the sport for a long time. You know, from the Camping World Series, Busch Series, I mean, Nationwide Series, all the Sprint Cup Series. It's just great to see him back. And you can see right now, he's trying to kind of like get a feel for this place. He's struggling right now, not very quick at all.
You were talking about Aaron's, Mike. Remember the offseason, we didn't know who was going to sponsor David Rudiman in the Sprint Cup Series. Michael Waltrip went to him. They put a deal together, and he said, you know, it's going to be a shame as long as Aaron's has been with Michael Waltrip Racing. David Rudiman will win a race, and you're going to miss out on it if you don't get on that car. And they did, and he did.
He did.
And Ken Butler, isn't he a first-time father this week?
Yes, the third, that is.
The third, yeah.
The third, yeah.
Baby girl, I believe.
You're correct.
Great.
Here's Matt. Huge weekend.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Big weekend last week also for Mike Bliss going to Victory Lane. Looking at the Monster Mile, what's the biggest thing you guys are fighting with the one car, Mike?
Well, we're tight. You know, that they've taken some gear away from us, so we're not turning a lot of RPM, so it's a lot more of a momentum, and you got to hustle it more through the corners. But we start out tight in, but we weren't getting a lot of travel. We're getting our travels right, and we're getting it freed up. It's getting better.
Typically, how long does it take for this racetrack to rubber up? Because just like the Sprint Cup guys over here in Nationwide, we're seeing a lot of cording on the right rears.
I would have thought by now. We've had a lot of cars on the track by now, and I'm a little surprised that it hasn't rubbered up. We're putting our second set of Goodyears on us, like 24 laps on them or something. So I don't know. We'll hopefully it'll rubber up pretty soon.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Kevin Conway lost a battle with the wall here at Dover International Speedway, and the right front suspension is down as well.
And Mike, I couldn't tell what happened exactly, but right in the middle where it says Monster Mile, it looked like the car just kind of like he missed the groove and it shot up. I don't know if he lost the right front tire, got in too high, but you see here, he comes up, gets a part of the wall.
Jeff, I wonder if that right front might have broken before the impact.
That's what I say. It just
didn't look like he was steering it in there.
You see a puff of smoke. He hit it hard.
Looks like he blew a tire or something happened into that corner. You saw that puff of smoke as soon as he made his entrance into turn 3. So it looks like something either broke or that tire went down.
Tough break for Conway, whose car is one of the top 30 and guaranteed in the show. 44 cars here, so one will go home tomorrow early. It's all about the tires. Who's that? Brad Keselowski.
Yeah.
Having a look at his.
Now they're doing what I consider the Jake Elder rendition. They're bouncing it, looking. Yeah, look at this thing. It bounces more than the other one. It feels different.
That's kind of old school, isn't it?
It is. You used to go around, you take your fingernail and you kind of poke it into the tread and say, well, this tire is harder than what this other was. You didn't have all sophisticated stuff we do today.
Your fingernail was your durometer.
I see it.
Right, and your fingertip was your pyrometer.
Right.
And then there's Dick Berggren.
And I've just checked on the tire situation with NASCAR. There was a rumor going around the garage area here that the teams were going to get extra sets. Absolutely, that is not the case. NASCAR has no intention of giving them extra sets because they already did. The rule book says that they're going to have a minimum of 5 sets of tires. Here at Dover, ordinarily they get 6. For this particular weekend, NASCAR, in its judgment, said take 7. So they've got 7 sets of tires for the whole weekend.
Well, you know what you do about that, Hermie? You save all you can because tires will be big here come Saturday afternoon.
And that may be why some of these drivers have run only a handful of laps in this practice. Now, I guess the teams have the option to turn a couple of sets back in, or they'll be required.
It'll be mandatory.
Yeah, they'll turn 2 sets back and end up with 5 sets to use.
But even with that being said, my point is you need to be careful. You don't get too greedy thinking, oh, we got extra tires. and all of a sudden you burn one of those fifth sets. You want to go through the 2 you got to give back, but no more, so that you wind up making sure you've got all you can get when you start the race. Let's ride along with Carl Edwards and see what Cousin Carl's doing. Currently quickest guy around this racetrack. Right on the bottom of the racetrack, comes up underneath the bridge, out on the back straightaway, and down that back straightaway canyon, we call it, off into turn 3. Again, hunting that white line on bottom of the racetrack here.
Really gets good run off the corner. Bobbled a little bit right there, a little bit loose.
A little bit loose off the exit of that corner.
Carl's rolling through the middle of the corner real good, looks like, Jeff.
So I'm going to go ahead and come on that GD plug check.
Now, if those were fire ants on the car, they'd be red. That's a carpenter ant, I think, Jeff. And I don't know why they call them carpenter ants, because they don't build a thing.
Hey, I'm going to say, it doesn't make any difference
things.
to me whether they're fire ants, or carpenter ants, or army ants, or black ants. I don't like ants.
That's right. I don't either.
That's the reason why you need to use ortho, to get rid of them. Keep those ants away. They're everywhere. Look at them. They're all over the race car.
Yeah, I mean, they come to every picnic.
They'll definitely ruin your day.
Let's see, where's the 12? Justin Allgaier is 23rd in this practice session, but he is the second fastest Dodge on track right now.
I'm sure you guys are a lot like me. You read a lot of different blogs. They kind of working that throttle up off that corner down the front straightaway here, but a lot of being speculations that this could be the guy that's going to wind up making the 4th team eventually in the Sprint Cup Series for Penske.
You can hear him really working that throttle, Jeff, and that's a lot of how you drive this racetrack is by using that throttle off and on, using that throttle to drive that car through the middle lane off these corners.
I don't know who's right in front of him. I can't really get a good clear view of that, but he is loose, and he's in the wall right there, right off the corner right there.
Clear to the bottom.
That's Peyton Sellers.
Peyton Sellers right there.
Oh gosh.
Well, if you've been watching, Mike, you know, from the in-car right there off the roof cam of the 12 car, it just the car kept working. It was loose, and all of a sudden it just snapped loose on him really big.
I seen it dance right in the center pretty bad right there.
And that's a shame, Jeff, because that's a team that comes in here. They are sponsored, but let's say they don't have an excess of funds, and that's going to be a pretty good setback for that 77
team. Yeah, it is. Watch this car kind of start dancing around right in the middle of the corner. It wiggles a little bit more. And off the corner, it just comes out on him. It just never looked like it hooked.
Clear to the bottom. All clear right there, caution. No caution. Caution out, yeah.
Every now and then a driver has to make a decision and override a spotter. The spotter thinking clear low may be the best way to go, but this time going high was the right move.
So a tough break from Peyton Sellers, the former national short track champion of NASCAR, with a damaged car in the garage. Ryan Newman, driver of the U.S. Army, Sprint Cup Chevy for Stewart Haas Racing, is the latest driver to join the SpeedTV.com family. Get exclusive analysis from Ryan and folks like Chris Devoda, Tom Jensen, Bob Dillner, and more at SpeedTV.com, and look for the Voices of Speed columns. Dick?
Well, for Peyton Sellers fans who were wondering if there was going to be a backup, did they have one on the truck? The answer is yes. The backup car is being unloaded. But how big a setback is this for you to have a big crash like this?
Well, we raced this car earlier this year that we're unloading now, and you know, it's frustrating. We were making a sticker run there, and just the car broke loose all of a sudden there coming off turn 4, and you know, we had been working to free the car up, and then for you know, we'd been working with the rear end a lot, and I don't know what happened. It just came around all of a sudden there, didn't give me any warning at all. So you know, I'm not too ashamed to take the blame if it was 100% my fault, but I really feel like something come loose in the car. But we'll just get back and look at it and take a look at it and see what happens. But we've got a good car to unload now. We'll be okay.
All right, wish you well with the backup. Thank you, Peyton.
Remember, Mike, I told you at the very beginning of this broadcast, this racetrack is carnivorous.
Yes, it is.
It'll take a bite out of you in a heartbeat.
And that's part of the education process of being a rookie and being at Dover, and making a sticker run is a lot different than what a car feels like on old tires. So he'll take that information next time he's in that position, and he'll feel certain things, and he'll know maybe when to back it down and live another lap.
And Herbie, let's take the moment to talk about that. We saw in the Sprint Cup practice earlier a lot of the teams rolling in a set of tires just because of that one reason. Right now, NASCAR officials are still surveying the damage and taking some of the time and scoring stuff off of the 77 car. But how does that feel inside a car when you're out there and you think, okay, sticker tires? A lot of times you get brand new tires put on your passenger car. Man, you drive out of the discount tire, wherever you buy your tires, wherever you get on the highway, it feels like, oh man, this thing is just great. You got a great ride, you got more grip, everything feels good about it. But with a race tire, what's that feeling like when you go out?
Well, it's difficult to pinpoint it, Jeff, because it seems to run in cycles. A couple years ago, you come to a place like Dover that was nothing but putting stickers on. You didn't question it, you didn't worry about it because you felt like you had that grip. But now guys are starting to knock that shine off, and the reason they're doing that is it's so important to get through turns 3 and 4 and come get the green flag with plenty of speed. So it's really difficult. You got all that grip, but then when it goes away, it's too late for the driver to catch it.
The best analogy I can give is you take a pencil with a new eraser. Sometimes when you use that new eraser, it will smear the lead instead of erasing it, and you have to wear that pencil eraser in before it will
grain
do its job.
Kind of grain it up a little bit. That's the reason we call it rolling a tire in. You just want to knock that knock the shine off, get that thing where it's got a little bit of a grainy look to it, and all of a sudden then it becomes where it's grippy.
A third 19-year-old in this field is John West Townley. Had some bad luck in practice right off the truck in Charlotte and backed one into the wall in turn 4 there. So here's the Zaxby's Ford, 33rd on the chart.
In this racetrack, when you put tires on and pump the air pressure up and put tape on the front, this track has a history of cars getting loose. This Sprint Cup qualifying coming up can be adventure. I mean, how many times have we seen guys that have good race cars be right on that fine line of being a pole winning car or a top 5 car, come off turn 4 and end up in the outside fence and the inside fence because it's not hard to step over that line.
Well, I think we will always remember as we watched Joey Logano get around Morgan Shepherd, the situation that happened with Jimmy Johnson here a few years ago.
Yeah.
He made one of the greatest spins and drive-aways I've ever seen as far as keeping one off the wall here at Dover. But it did ultimately cost him a great starting spot, and he had to go way back to the field. Remember, they had to share a pit that day, Mike. I mean, it was quite an adventure for that 48 team. So this place, yes, it can humble the best, including a 3-time champion.
Kevin Harvick now quickest. Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, David Reagan, and Joey Logano, the Fast 5. Matt?
Mike, Kenny Wallace's car up on scale, so we got a chance for Herminator Nation to catch up with you. We're talking a lot about drivers coming here for the first time. Do you remember your first time here at the Monster Mile?
Yes, I do. I remember my first time here at Dover. It was all black because it was asphalt and it had sealer on it. Track was real fast. Qualified second, just couldn't believe anybody could pass me, and they started passing me. Track is extremely fast for what it is, but there's a reason they call it the Monster Mile. It's a track you have to respect, you know, but yeah, I can't believe it's been, what, 26 races.
Now, next Wednesday night, no sealer, no asphalt, all dirt, all fun, the prelude to the dream. And you're a former winner of that prestigious event.
Yes, I'm addicted to dirt. You know, it was a deal where I turned 39 years old a while back, and I told Schrader, I said, I have to learn how to run dirt because, you know, Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman, all these great drivers have run dirt. Now I'm addicted to it and own my own team, so I can't wait. I'll be in Des Moines on Monday, so at Des Moines Fairgrounds. Then, of course, Prelude to the Dream on Wednesday. And we got to stop Tony from winning so much.
All right, good luck the rest of the weekend.
Thank you very much.
The Prelude featuring many top NASCAR stars, only on HBO pay-per-view. Jeff Gordon will be there, Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards. I mean, what an all-star lineup on dirt and all for fun, but to raise money in support of our injured and fallen heroes. It'll be a lot of fun. Kevin Harvick fastest as practice rolls on. After this, you're going to see NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying here on Speed, and tonight the Ground Pounders, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, will roll off beginning with a setup at 8 p.m. Eastern Time live on Speed. Let's meet the man who will start tonight's race from the pole.
And that's Ron Hornaday, and he was just over talking to the boss, Kevin Harvick. Both of you guys are fast. Is there any similarity whatsoever between the setup on a Nationwide car and what you've got into that Camping World truck?
First of all, Delena's my boss. I get to answer to Kevin on Monday morning meetings, but I'm just looking at the tires. I mean, it rained last night and all that stuff. Just make sure the tires are holding out good. You brought another good tire, but it's not laying no rubber down. So I didn't know he was on top of the board, so that just tells you what KHI's got. I mean, they're really doing their homework. These guys have been working hard, and good opportunity to ride with Ernie and these guys a couple races this year. So keep my nose in there and get to know the guys.
How about the race tonight that'll be on Speed? What can we expect from you?
Good, fast racing. I mean, this is unbelievable. Of what the new pit road that they've done here at Dover, it's going to be a whole different scenario getting into the pits. And what NASCAR's done with the trucks is making them so close. I mean, yeah, I might have got the pole, but not by very much. And it's a whole different scenario right now. It's going to be a lot of fun here tonight. It's going to be too wide, I know that.
Trucks at Dover are always good to watch.
Did I happen to mention it's live on Speed at 8 p.m. tonight?
Nope. If you did, do it again.
It's live on Speed at 8 p.m. tonight, right after trackside.
Right after trackside. Don't mean it again. Miss it, because again, like what Hornaday's saying, when they drop the green flag here later on this afternoon, it is going to be unbelievable with the 33, the 6, and don't forget there's a guy named Kyle Busch involved in this thing, and he will be coming to the front.
You know, he brought up a good point about not seeing a black groove at the bottom of this racetrack just yet. And I noticed when Kevin Conway got up in the fence earlier, Jeff, we saw some of that dust, you know, that come off these tires as opposed to putting rubber down. So that's going to be something for us to follow over the next day or two, to see that debris up at the top of the racetrack. It's not going in the racetrack.
Yeah, this right here is what you're talking about. This black in this area right here. Again, instead of going into the racetrack, into the concrete itself, it's wearing it off. Now you got that fine dust at the top. So you get up out of the groove, it's going to be hanging onto your hat.
However, Kevin Conway did tell our pit reporters that there was a mechanical problem on the car that caused him to get up and into the fence in Joe Nemechek's Toyota and crash that car a little bit earlier in this practice.
I just noticed when he got up there, when he got to make contact with the wall, you saw the debris and the dust fly, which is a bad sign when you want the racetrack to take rubber. And so far, it doesn't look like it's actually taking it where we need it, which is right in the groove.
Yeah, I'd like to watch that number 60 car. I see him going back out on pit road coming for the racetrack, and he had sticker tires on that number 60 car. I'm curious if he's going to roll them in, or whether he's going to go out and really make an effort to try to unseat Kevin Harvick.
Now here's CurtisDavis.com. This is one of the cars tomorrow morning that is going to be in doubt of whether they're able to make the show. He and Kevin LePage are the two slowest right now, and that didn't help.
He just barely grazed it. I don't think it really did a whole lot of damage, but I guarantee it got his attention.
The bottom four in practice at the moment among the go-or-go homers: John West Townley, Casey Atwood, this car, Curtis Davis, and Kevin LePage. Now only one driver will fail to qualify, and it will likely come from that group.
And you don't want to be the one to go home. I can tell you that's a bad feeling. We're watching Mark Davis in the 10 car, currently 29th.
Former Joe Gibbs development driver. Here's Dick.
Well, this is NASCAR's version of a seance, I guess. Harvick's crew has got a bunch of fans, and they are trying to cool off their tires. With a limited number of tires available, they're getting ready to go out and make another run, but they want to cool the tires down before they do, so they get a little bit better feeling of what it's going to be like when Harvick goes out and takes his time trial.
You know, we're used to seeing in other forms of racing tire warmers, big electric blankets put around the tires to heat them up. Guess that's just the opposite.
Real interesting little deal right here with Carl Edwards. He went out on a racetrack and he had sticker tires on the car, made one full lap. He made a lap at speed, and he got out of it and brought it back into the garage area. So interested to see what kind of little cat and mouse game he's playing here, because we still got about 30 minutes left in this practice session, so they may cool them down and see exactly what they've got in them. A lot like the Kevin Harvick team, they may have found that, well, they need to have more than just a new knocked off of them in this series. They need a little bit like a complete lap to make them really good. Dick, you got any more information on the tires?
Well, I've got some information to answer your question about Carl Edwards, the cat and mouse game he's playing. The car is just playing too loose, so they're going to try to make some adjustments in it, tighten it up, get it better. Remember, this is the only practice they get, so they've got to get it right here.
Carl won the pole for this race last year.
You got some options with the tires too, Jeff. Obviously, when they're brand new, if you go out and put like a corner on them, we'd call that, knocking the new off of them. But if you go more of a complete lap, a lap and a half, then you're getting close to putting enough heat in them to heat them up and let them cool down. We call that a cycle. So these crew chiefs are trying to figure out what's the best combination. Do we want sticker tires, or do we want tires with just a corner, or do we want tires with a lap, 2 laps? We heard Mike Skinner say early this morning in Camping World Truck Series practice, they qualified with tires with 7 or 8 laps on them. So crew chiefs are really trying to find what they need for that one magical lap when it comes time to qualify.
I like it when it's real simple. 4
Bolt
new
on the
tires
stickers and go.
and go.
Now, this is Brendan Gaughan. Did he and Stephen Wallace just swap sponsors this week?
That's what it looks like right now, because normally we see this US Fidelis on the 66 and the 5-hour Energy, or South Point Casino and Spa on the 62. So a little bit different look right there for the Rusty Wallace entry. Again, watching Jason Allgaier trying to figure this racetrack out. Still 23rd in practice.
Tomorrow night on Speed, the Renegades of the World of Outlaws Late Model Series deliver some excitement. The greatest show on dirt from Lernerville. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern, and only on Speed, the World of Outlaws Late Models.
Hermie, you any good running cars sideways on dirt racing?
I've never driven a race car on dirt. I tell you, I wish we'd had a camera in the plane flying up to Artie's golf tournament yesterday. My brother Elliot, Kenny Wallace flew up with us, Reed Sorensen. They were talking about the Prelude to the Dream a couple years ago when my brother got invited.
Yeah.
First time ever on dirt. And you ought to seen Elliot talking about getting in the gas the first time, just trying to get warmed up. Every time he got in the throttle, the thing, twist and came around sideways. And he said, I can tell this might be a long night. When it's sideways, when I first get in the gas, it takes some getting used to. But I've never had the opportunity to drive on dirt. And I've teased Tony a couple times. Of course, I'm a member of the media now, so I'm not technically a driver. I said, just because my brother's starting to show up don't mean I don't get a chance. But I haven't got a call yet.
Maybe we can get a media race. Mike, you, all go up and run a dirt race up there. That'd be
We
good.
did that once and had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like it.
Up in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
These guys are building their own teams and testing and doing all kinds of stuff for a charity event. So I know it's for fun, but these guys want to win.
We did that at Canaan, New Hampshire for Butch Elms. Nice little dirt track, had an asphalt track right across the street. I think we would have been better over there.
Not me.
All right, we had a lot of fun.
That's right, because I wanted to race. I like it.
Yes, you did.
Matt.
The Rusty Wallace owned cars running 20th and 22nd guys, and Brendan Gaughan just went back out. When he came in, he said that the last change they made on the car really tightened it up, but he lost all rear grip, and it just killed his entry. So they made a couple of changes, sent him back out to see if that might improve it.
Hermie, you talked about that. You get the car where all of a sudden it's kind of comfortable. And this is one of those racetracks, you can't be comfortable and be fast. I mean, there's just no way. There's just too much changes as far as the way you transition down into the corner, the way you come up out of off of turn 2, especially, I think is just dramatic. The way it kind of throws you up out there on the back straightaway. The car is just, it really has to be compliant, but it's never going to be comfortable.
It's not, and we talked about this engine package they've got here. It forces you as a driver to begin to throttle that much more. I mean, you can't let the car roll like you used to could here. I mean, you've got to find a way to be able to stay in that accelerator to kind of keep your momentum up around this racetrack, especially with this engine package.
Dick Bergman?
Kyle Busch is third on the speed chart right now, Mike. He sits in his car as the mechanics are underneath it working on it. He said he can make the car loose and he can make it tight pretty much anywhere on the racetrack based on the way he drives it, and that surely is the sign of a terrific driver. But I think maybe instead of working on the car, maybe they need to work on Kyle Busch's bad luck. In the last 4 nationwide races, he has led the most laps in all 4, but he won just a single one of those 4. In one of them, rain washed it out before the end. In another, with a checkered flag in sight, he had a flat tire. And last week in the Coca-Cola 600, Kyle Busch led the most laps and didn't win that one either.
Yeah, Mother Nature was not a Kyle Busch fan last weekend.
We've been talking about it, Mike, just a little bit. I'd rather be lucky than good every now and then. And so far, that 18 car has been good, but he definitely has not had any luck to go with it because he's had the car to beat. and about every one of those races that Dick Berger was talking about. I mean, the doctor definitely kind of described the ailments that they've run into.
Kevin Harvick went out for another run. I thought he was quicker. I'm sorry, that was back on lap 26.
No, I actually watched him. He's still running right now. He's making a fairly long run here, coming up off of turn 4 right now. But he has been very consistent in the like high, 23s to 24 second lap. I mean, his car really like it's working well. So not only does he have a fast race car, he's got one like it's staying under him pretty well. Now, here's another guy that's got a pretty good deal going. He was fast last weekend at Lowe's Motor Speedway, especially in the Sprint Cup Series. He's currently 8th fastest for Brian Vickers. Second as far as the timing chart, as far as 10-lap consecutive run, he and Joey Logano got the 2 fastest cars there as far as the 10-lap run's concerned. He's run just a little over 50 laps with this 32 car.
All clear. Coming to you, Trent.
Carl Edwards went back out, but was about 7/10 off his fastest lap of the day. One thing you saw there as the cars came into turn number 3, with the new pit road here at Dover, with 43 pits and longer pit stalls as well, and a 2-foot widening of pit road, the commit cone has been moved back further into the corner. Now you'll see it as he comes down the back straightaway. That's the horse track grandstand, a casino and hotel, and there is the cone, and it's just about halfway through turn number 4 is where you must be committed to get into the pit lane.
And the other part of that is, Mike, for a lot of these guys, they need to start thinking about when they get ready to come to pit road, you've got to get the car slowed down and get under control before you can dive off that banking down on the pit road. We have seen some spectacular crashes here at Dover, guys trying to get on pit road alone. Here we are coming through that tree right there, and there's a commit cone. I mean, you saw the entrance to pit road, and it is really, not in the middle of 3 and 4, but darn close to it.
We've also seen some spectacular crashes once people get on pit road.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hopefully the widening of pit road will help reduce the frequency of those.
It'll certainly help.
Closing minutes of final practice for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Caution is out for debris over in turn number 2. Let's go back to the garage and Dick.
67-year-old Morgan Shepherd still at it, Mike. Right now he is 19th quick on the board. He missed the show last weekend at Lowe's Motor Speedway. It was the first one he has missed all year long. And for a bit of history, this 67-year-old in 1986, 23 years ago, won the pole and won the race right here at Dover.
There was a time that he was absolutely a factor to be reckoned with when it came to winning races. Won some races in Sprint Cup as well, and still a contender. Loves to race, and every Christmas he does a toy drive up there in the hills outside Conover for kids that are less fortunate, and just the spirit of Christmas giving very much alive, and it's an event that's really looked forward to by the folks in that area. It's Morgan Shepherd is a good guy.
Yes, he is. And you bring up the point about his ability in the younger days. I mean, a lot of people don't realize how fierce he was. I mean, he was really a tenacious driver. Drove for the Wood Brothers. Again, he could get the job done. He's still getting the job done at 67. Don't get me wrong there, but I mean, back in his heyday, he was as good as anybody behind the wheel of a race car.
Well, Jeff, I grew up a huge baseball fan, and it would be, I'd see players for the first time who were, let's say, in their 40s, and see them play and go, gosh, and wonder, how could this fella be a big star? Well, you should have seen him win.
Yep.
And that's the case with Morgan.
And I congratulate him for continuing to do what he knows and loves, and he'll tell you that when you talk to him. Why are you still out here doing it? And he says, it's all I know how to do, and I love it. I mean, he wants to be here, and he would certainly love to have a big-time sponsor to give him more tools to be more competitive consistently. But with the help of Tony Stewart and some of the other guys in the garage, he really does a good job with what he's working with.
Well, that's it. If you look at the quarter panel on Morgan Carr, you can see Tony's a big fan, because Prelude to the Dream coming up Wednesday night on pay-per-view, has been Morgan's sponsor for the last couple of weeks. So call your cable provider and make sure you're signed up, because that's the only way this year you're going to be able to see the prelims.
I think it's a great tribute right there, that what Tony is continuing to do with Morgan, because of the fact that he understands and respects what Morgan is doing and continues to do. So it's I don't know, it's really cool.
You know, Kyle Busch has a development driver program. He has a couple of young drivers under his wing. I guess you'd say Tony has a 69-year-old development driver. That'd be Morgan.
That'd be Morgan.
Attaboy. Putting the finishing touches on. Now these cars at the end of this session, they are all done on track until qualifying tomorrow.
And what we're seeing right there going on with that 89 car of Morgan Shepherd, so he's taping it up, they're cooling it down, getting ready to lay down a qualifying attempt to see exactly what the balance is. And right now we're watching the 88 car of Brad Keselowski.
Now Morgan, let's mention, has to qualify on time. So only one car. He's well positioned right now. He is 6th or 7th of the go-or-go homers, and since they will take all but one, he's in pretty good shape. Brad Keselowski is 7th on the speed chart.
So this is so far a much better practice session than he had last week at Lowe's Motor Speedway, when they had set back crashed 2 race cars.
You had to bring it up. You had to rain on the parade, didn't you?
Well, that was last week. Had to bring it. That was last week, Jeff.
Well, but it's the facts right there. I mean, they really did. They struggled last week. And the bad part about it is, and it's good to see Brad kind of have a positive attitude about it, because there was not anything that he did. You know, the guys that work on the team made some mistakes, and unfortunately he paid the price.
There's another driver on the gotta go list. Casey Atwood is 3rd from the bottom of the chart among the drivers who must qualify on time here in the 31W Insulation Chevy. And we'll get the final minutes of practice here when we come back. You're watching the NASCAR Nationwide Series on Speed. Ryan Newman completes a run in the Fastenal Fluke Instruments.
And Mike, we were looking at Casey Atwood, Ryan Newman, Morgan Shepherd, talking about former winners here. And if I counted correctly, we got 9 former winners of this race competing this weekend. And Ryan Newman is one of the guys who's actually sat on the pole and won a race here, his only win.
Tony Raines, whose position in practice matches his car number. Long John Silver's Chevrolet. Here's Dick.
Now Jason Leffler is sitting in his race car in the garage area, Mike. They're taping up the nose of this race car to get ready for qualifying. And this weekend, Leffler is celebrating his 200th start in NASCAR nationwide competition. And indeed, the very first win he ever had in big league stock car racing was right here in the Truck Series in May of 2003.
200 starts for Leffler this weekend, 150 for Kyle Busch.
Jason Keller, 13th quickest. And if you remember back at one time, Mike, he used to pretty much, you know, be a factor in all the concrete races. It seemed like whether we were at Nashville, here at Dover, Bristol, wherever it was concrete, Jason Keller seemed like he always had the right car and the right setup to be a force to reckon with. He's got a win up here.
Back in 2000, yeah.
Yep.
Brandon Witt, this car's also locked into the show. He's 40th in this practice session.
It felt like I was freer down there in 1 and 2 than I was down here in 3 and 4.
Brandon trying to tell Doug Taylor, a little bit, one of the owners, crew chief on that car, you know, what he needs to do to the 61 to make it a little bit better. Jason Allgaier, he continues to mount laps around this racetrack.
39 of them so far, Jeff, and And still, he's not been able to get that car up into the top 20.
But I'm just wondering right now, Mike, if we're still, you know, trying to run on old tires, just trying to get him some feel and what it's going to be like in the race, so that really he's got a better idea of what to expect tomorrow. And since they're locked into the field, I think it might be a great approach because, you know, granted, you'd like to qualify up front, but I'd like for myself, I'd like to know what the car is going to be like at the end of a 40, 50, 60 lap run. Because I think this is where you're really going to make up your most ground. You're going to score the most points.
That's a good point. And his recent laps were only about 4/10 off his fastest lap. So
exactly.
Kind of backs that up. Jeffrey Earnhardt, who is not part of the rookie.
Whoa! Oh, no! Hang on to it. Hang on to it.
No! Keep your brakes on. Keep your brakes on. Let the 88 get past you. You're good.
A hard hit, and both ends
got it pretty good there, guys.
Damaged on Jeffrey Earnhardt's car.
I can take a look at the front of this car and see if he had that thing. Looks like they were just about taped up solid.
Yep.
Probably trying to make a little bit of a qualifying run, Jeff. This got loose coming off turn 4.
We saw it earlier right there. You get that point right the corner. It just, and again, it stepped out on him. And I thought for a second he was going to be able to hang on to it, but
he did.
Again, this racetrack is so narrow, it just doesn't give you a lot of room for error.
Car got a little loose. He corrected it, steered into it. He corrected it, but came back straight a little too soon. And pow. Oof.
Fortunately, nobody else was involved with the 88 car of Brad Keselowski. It was pretty close, but
Hermie, it all happened so fast.
He bobbled that one time, then you start trying to catch that car, and coming off turn 4, it is almost impossible to save a car when you get that far out of shape, especially at that kind of speed. I mean, nothing he could do once it got away from him.
And he was doing so well. I mean, he had a very good, practice runs.
He was 24th.
Yeah.
Now this is Stanton Barrett's car. As you mentioned, Paul Andrews, the crew chief, and looks like Earnhardt's leaked a little oil out on the racetrack from something oil or some other fluid. So we're going to stay under caution here for a little bit.
And what's so sad is a situation where they look like they were going to make the field easily. Now tomorrow, when he makes his qualifying attempt, it'll be the first time he go around the racetrack in that car. Big challenge right there for this young man to be able to make this race.
Yeah, not only from a competition standpoint, but from a confidence standpoint.
Right.
It'll be tough for him to come back from that.
19-year-old Jeffrey Earnhardt hits the wall in Dover. A lot of damage to Jeffrey Earnhardt's car. And here's a look at it. Kept it off the outside wall. Still got hard damage on the inside wall. Dick?
Earnhardt, what happened?
Just my fault, driver error. You know, these guys, they worked real hard, got this car real good, and I just lost it coming off turn 4. You know, I hate it for the Fast Wax Chevrolet. You know, these guys really worked hard today and have the car real good. You know, I was excited and everything. Just I got a little too excited, I guess. You know, my fault. I'll take the blame for it. These guys, they did their part. I just felt a little on mine, but you know, we got a backup car. We'll get it out, see what it's like. Should still be pretty good. You know, we don't bring bad stuff to the track, so we'll just see. You know, that's all we can do now. Comfortable. I was comfortable as a driver, but now I know I need to back it up a little bit. But we'll be all right. We'll get the backup car out and get going.
How much more racing will you do in 2009?
It just depends by sponsors. You know, it varies.
Okay. Look at that face. If you don't see a resemblance in that face and Grandpa, I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, tough day.
And if you don't
tough
think
to be 19, Jeff.
I was going to say, if you don't think that this sport brings out emotion, and if you don't think that these people, especially Jeffrey right now, doesn't care about what just happened, in that interview you missed it all, because I mean he cares about what went on, and he not only for himself, the guys that worked on that 31 car, and hopefully they can get this thing turned around and get him on the racetrack tomorrow, get him qualified and in this racing, let him build some confidence, because again, he's showing some talent, and he definitely comes from a talented family. So hopefully we can continue the Earnhardt tradition with Jeffrey.
That's what this track does to you. It slowly builds confidence, and then it'll take it right away from you.
I told you, it'll take a bite out of you.
Carnivorous.
Exactly right.
Several drivers just ran their fastest lap of the day as the track reopens for practice. Joey Logano, his quickest lap, moves into 4th. Jason Leffler now 6th. Scott Speed now 7th, and Brendan Gaughan now 16th. They each just ran their quickest lap today.
Riding along with Stephen Wallace, teammate to Brendan Gaughan. He's currently 22nd. See if he can find some speed in this 66 car. Hey, there's Peyton Sellers, guys. He was able to get his backup car off and get NASCAR inspected right quick, and now he's getting some laps on the racetrack. He had a little incident with the wall, a little bit like Jeffrey Earnhardt early in the practice today.
It's a good job by his team.
Yeah, having it ready.
A small team, limited schedule. For them to have a backup car that he can get on the racetrack that quick and at least get him a couple laps, kudos to that bunch.
Won't be a lot of drama to knock out qualifying tomorrow morning, what with Mike Harmon locked safely in the field driving the 07. But the bottom 4, one driver will go home, and the bottom 4 are John West Townley at a 24.26, Casey Atwood at a 41, Curtis Davis at a 41, and Kevin LePage at a 43. Neither Davis nor LePage have put 10 laps up in this practice session. Atwood's run 20, and Townley here, the most, has run 65, and that is the most of all drivers in this session. Best 5 consecutive laps, Joey Logano. In this session, best 10 consecutive laps, Joey Logano.
Good sign for him. We got a fast car, 4th fastest overall, and pretty good on the long run, it looks like.
Kevin Harvick and Brian Vickers and Scott Speed also very good on the sustained runs. Here are the fastest individual laps of the day. On the other side of the break, Steve Burns at the speed stage. And coming up in just a little bit, NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying right here on Speed.